Good morning, Howard. Here's the machine, the Breville Barista Express BES870 in brushed stainless steel. This is a very clean unit. It's new. It's probably used a dozen times now, and it's got minimal wear and tear as you would expect. And most of those are actually only around the front, so very small scratches around the front from getting the cups in and out, as you saw in the photos. Um, Otherwise, it's a very clean unit. Nothing on the right hand side, nothing on the left hand side, and of course, it's going to come fully checked and serviced, and with warranty for your peace of mind. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to use your machine. So, making a full coffee. So, I'm going to make a latte. Um, you know, hopefully, teaching you a few tips and tricks along the way. So, when you first turn on the machine, it'll take about a minute to warm up, and the button will be flashing when it's warming up. When these buttons light up, that means it's ready to go. And you can make a coffee straight away, but it's recommended to warm it up. So to warm up the machine, you can either wait 10-20 minutes at standby. So in this mode, leave it on to warm up things like the top warming tray. You can put your cups in here to warm up the group head and the portafilter. If you're in a hurry, you can warm it up quickly by running a blank straw. So that's just running hot water through the system without any coffee in the handle. Again, to kind of bring things up to temperature. It's mainly the group head, the portafilter, and the cup that you want to be hot. You want them to be hot for optimal coffee flavors. Otherwise, if it's too cold, that might make the shots sour. Press the single or double button. That will give you standard amounts. Cool. These buttons here are programmable, so you can make them to whatever length you desire. You can always reset them to factory by holding program. That'll bring the button lengths to factory settings, which are honestly a bit too long for my taste, for both the single and for the double. So when we make the coffee today, I'll change the length of your button, the double button, just so I can teach you how to reprogram it, and also calibrate it to the correct setting for the double shot espresso. I'm just gonna put some milk in my milk jug over here. Maybe later. Your coffee machine does come with the thermal sensing jug, which is good. This will tell you the temperature from between 55 degrees Celsius to 75. Very handy if you're not used to steaming your own milk and feeling by hand. Now that the machine is nice and hot, we're going to take out the portafilter and we're going to dry it with a towel or tissue. You want this to be dry before grinding. It's very important to be dry. And I'm gonna grab a scale over here, just to measure the coffee going in and out. It's recommended to have a scale just to be more consistent and dial in your shots, but it's not absolutely necessary. It's just highly recommended. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the scale, reset it to 0, and we're gonna grind. So this here is the double basket. This takes 18 grams of coffee. So this is the single wall double basket. You also have the other 3, so a total of 4 baskets. 2 that are single wall, so single layer, classic style, and 2 that are pressurized. And the pressurized ones will say dual wall underneath. Those ones are for pre-ground coffee, whereas these ones with only a single layer, these ones are for freshly ground coffee. You have the grind size selection over here on the left. At the moment it's at number 4. This will determine how fine or how coarse the coffee will be coming out. I've cleaned the grinder and reset it so that I think number 4 will be a good ballpark figure to be around. We might need to change this finer or coarser depending on the flow. But of course, the only way to know is to make a coffee. So just by the feel, I think it's in the right range. But yeah, we have to make a coffee. And this will depend on what beans you're using. So different beans will probably require different settings. I'm going to leave the settings to you to determine, obviously, because you may be using different beans. I'm using the LD brand of beans. They're not the best, but they're certainly not the worst. And for the price, I think they're good as a starting point, especially when you're first learning how to make espresso. Yeah, so if my coffee runs too quickly, I'm going to make this one click finer. If it runs too slowly, I'm going to make it one click coarser. The grind amount over here is that this dial will determine how long to grind for or how much to grind into the portafilter. I'm going to keep it at 12 o'clock and see how we go. Here is the single and double selection, so you can put it on double if you want double the amount. Personally, I've found it more consistent to keep it on single and do it in 2 steps. So single, tamp it down, single, tamp it again. That's my first dose. Let's see how we went. 8.5. So I'm gonna bump it up to 1 o'clock. So the 1 o'clock position. Hopefully that'll give us closer to 9 grams. Also, with the grind button, if you press it, it'll grind for this amount. But if you hold it, it'll grind for as long as you hold it. So just to top up, I'm gonna hold it just really quickly. And now it's back to 9 grams. It's up to 9 grams. So I'm gonna press it down. Oops. Press it down. Do that again. A little bit of spillover, but that's fine. This is my second dose, and this time we got 9. What was that? 9.3. I think that's fine. I guess you can experiment and see which one suits you best. So this one will give you 8.5. This one will give you 9.3. So maybe we'll keep it on the lesser setting. See how that goes. You don't have to be exact on the 18 grams figure. It can be slightly more, slightly less. Hopefully not by many grams more or less, because that's not very good. And now before I'm gonna tamp it, I'll just spread it with my finger, so that when we come to tamp, it's an even surface, approximately. Nice and firm. Apply even pressure all around. And polish it at the end by twisting it. That's a nicely tamped bit of coffee. There we go. You'll notice that because now we have 18 grams into the basket, and you'll notice that the tamper doesn't go deeper than this. So this is the depth that the tamper goes to when we have 18 grams. It's a good way of knowing you have the correct amount of coffee. Let's say if you're in a hurry or if you don't have a scale, what you want to do is set the settings to whatever settings that allow you to achieve this amount of coffee, so that when you press it down, it doesn't go deeper than this silver cap. Clean the edges and lock it in. So you don't have to lock it in all the way to the right. I'm going to keep it at 6 o'clock, which is at dead center. I think it's tight enough at 6 o'clock, you know, being a relatively new machine. I'm going to grab my cup here. You also have a hot water tap over here. If you want some hot water for, say, a long black coffee or brewing some tea. I like to add a little bit of hot water before my coffee, so that the sugar mixes in nicely. That's a lot of sugar. Anyway. I'm gonna grab a spoon, a teaspoon, and now we'll measure the output as well. So that we measured the input at 18 grams, which is correct. We'll also want to measure the output. So the output I'm going to be aiming for is 36. So that's double of 18. That's a 2-to-1 ratio. Most people aim for that. It's a sort of a benchmark, really. We want to be getting our 36 grams in around 20 to 30 seconds. So I'm going to program the button for you, this button, to give us 36 grams. And here's how you do that. You're going to grind your coffee, tamp it down, lock the portafilter in, and then now make the coffee. So you press program, and then press the button you want to be programming. Two things you want to pay attention to when you're making coffee. The pressure, you want it in the top range around 12 o'clock, plus or minus a bit, that's fine. And the flow, you want it to be nice and smooth, not too quick, not too slow. If it's too slow, so if it only comes out in drops, slowly, that's too slow. If it's too quick, almost like a black river, spurting out of the spouts, that's too quick. And I'm going to time it as well. If we get less than 20 seconds for that 36 grams, we'll make it finer. Okay, it's coming out in a smooth stream, not too slow. I would say it's just right. This pressure is at 1 o'clock. This is perfect. This is about 9 bars, by the way, if you're interested. 9 bars of pressure. It is slightly slower than I would have hoped, but we're at the 30-second mark now and we're nearing our dose. And I'm going to stop it when I think it's in the right spot. So just there. It should be around 35, 36. From experience, I think. Yeah, that's just under 35 grams. That happened in 40 seconds. So what this tells me, because our double shot happened longer than 30 seconds, that means our grind size is too fine. So I'm going to bump it up to grind size number 5, and we can try that again. I'll let you do the experimentation. I think this is a good shot. It's a decent shot. As you saw, we have some smooth flow, some very good crema. It smells really good, which is always a good sign. Yeah, so when I'm changing grind size, I want to be grinding while doing that. So that's grind size number 5. And as you saw, I purge whatever I'm grinding, because that's going to be a mixture between the old and the new. Doing this will ensure that every time, so when you start grinding now, it'll be the new grind size of grind size number 5, not the old grind size. Of course, when you're done, you want to clean the machine as quick as you can. Knock off the grounds in a knock box. If you don't have one, I have one for sale if you're interested. Run another blank shot this time to rinse and clean, so the shower screen and the portafilter. Just because my previous calibration of the button was too short, I will reset it for you. So program. So when you use this button now, it should give you about 50 grams of coffee, which is a touch too much. That's close to a 3-to-1 ratio. You might like that, and it will depend on what beans you're using. Some beans like to be extracted more, so it's just a preference really. So I'll let you try these factory settings, and if you're not happy, if you think it gives you too much coffee at the factory settings, you can do the programming procedure that we just did. So program, press the button, stop it when you're happy with the volume, and it will remember that number, that amount of coffee every time. Okay, let's steam some milk now, make this into a latte. I'm gonna fill the jug halfway with cold full cream milk. So halfway, or you could say just under the spout, where the spout begins over here. Turn on the steam mode. It'll take probably 10-15 seconds before it starts steaming. And you want to learn the technique. I'll be showing you the technique. It's basically spinning the milk in a circle, keeping the tip of the milk, keeping the tip of the wand close to the surface and sort of injecting air as it spins. There we go. You want to hear that hissing sound? Almost like you're tearing a piece of paper. I'm going to keep spinning it, keeping the wand close to the edge and sort of at an angle, and the tip close to the surface. And I'm going to keep doing this until it's too hot to the touch. Well, if you have the thermal jug, you can just look at the temperature and stop it when it's at 55, maybe 60 degrees. If you like your milk slightly cooler, 55, 60 is what you should be aiming for. If you like your coffee scorching hot, 65, maybe 70. But from experience, I don't usually go over 60 because I think that's a sweet spot. So I'm going to turn it off. And it's important, purge. Very important to purge, to remove any milk from the inside. I'm going to put this on the side. And I'm going to grab a wet towel and wipe off the wand straight away. You'll see the machine cooling down. So it cools down, it goes back to espresso mode. You see the buttons light up. Now it's ready to make another shot of espresso. But again, it's really important to wipe the wand because obviously it gets really hot on there, and the milk will stick and sort of bake onto the metal. So the sooner you clean it, the easier it is to clean. And we're done. I'm gonna grab the milk over here. I'm gonna knock it on the table just to break any bubbles. Swirl it around. Do this a couple times until you see the texture of the surface, almost like smooth paint, like white paint. That's just to help smoothen the texture on the latte. And actually, you can do latte art with this sort of setup with some practice. I usually don't. I just aim for a good taste as opposed to good latte art. There we go, we've got a very strangely shaped heart. Let's show you what it looks like. That's a latte cappuccino hybrid. We got some bubbles, that's just because I stuffed up the steaming at the end there. But it looks really good, and I'm sure you'll be able to do much better coffees than this with the Barista Express. I'm sure you'll love it, and if you have any questions, feel free to message me. Thanks.